Good to meet you.
So I've seen the first 3 episodes.
Oh wow, you've seen more than I have.
Yes, and yes, very good actually. And I'm so impressed with the way your character and Tom Hardy's character James has such a really great bond. Can you tell us a little bit more about the interactions you and Tom had by filming?
Well, for a start, I brought him up as a kid. I was like, in effect, his big brother, the big brother he never had, his elder brother. So I played with him, I climbed trees with him, I picked him up when he skinned his knee, I fed him, I watered him, I probably changed his nappy and wiped his ass. So already that gives you a very strong bond. And then he disappears from my life for about 10 years and comes back in. And he's a very changed man. He's dark, he's bruised, he's damaged goods. He's got things have happened to him in his life that I know nothing about. And I expect to see the same man when he comes back, but he's not. The first thing I say is, you haven't changed, and he says, I have.
Yeah.
And then slowly over the episodes, I realize he has changed.
Yeah, and there's something that you know more about his past than even he realized that you knew, and he starts revealing some things that you thought he never knew. I love that dichotomy because you were like, how do you know all these things? I think there's a really great supernatural element to
There is. Did you enjoy the supernatural element?
I loved it. I loved it. This series is fantastic. The first 3 episodes were wonderful, so I really am enjoying it. So, can you tell us a little bit about your character's background? Are we going to see any more?
We know nothing about Brace's background, other than the fact that he's worked for the family all of his life, probably from a teenage boy, because people were put into service at a very young age. No, we know nothing about him. He's as mysterious as...
Will we find out this season? A little bit more about Bray?
You do, yes.
Okay.
And the dark secret that he holds, because I know where the bodies are buried.
Okay.
In fact, I buried them.
Thank you
and
so
I'm not
much.
telling you anymore.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you. How are you?
Very
It's
well.
very lovely to meet you.
As well.
I saw your film Everest, and it's such a great film. I love the way that your character was portrayed. So I know there was some controversy with that character, but
There was a lot of controversy.
regarding Taboo, your character, the storyline, there's a lot of British and American history that's kind of like folded into the story. What was it about the script and your character that intrigued you so?
In all honesty, like before I even read the script, I was told it was a Tom Hardy project, and it's someone who I admire more than just about anyone right now working as an actor. And after having worked with him, I can even say that more so. So that was the initial draw for me. I love Tom, and I think he's so talented. So for me, that was a big draw. But then I read it, and I was like, oh my God, like I have to do this. I was so excited, so excited.
So I've seen the first 3 episodes, and there's a couple of scenes with you and Tom's character that get a little sticky. I won't say anything because I don't want to spoil it for the fans, but what can you tell us about that particular scene, you being a doctor of sorts?
Oh, yes. His character has something that I very much want and need, and my character is willing to go to some extreme lengths to get those things. So it was fun. That was my actual first day of filming, though, and it was the day before that I met the director, Kristoffer, and I said, I just have some questions. He's like, oh, let's meet for dinner. And we sat down, and I was in the middle of filming House of Cards, and I said, so I just had some questions. I was like, when I'm saying this here, what do you... And he's like, what script do you have here? What is this? And I was like, I don't know. And that's it was basically like a 5-page monologue or whatever. And I was like, he's like, that's not the script. And I was like, oh my God. So it was 2 days before. And so I just it was overwhelming to try and get that scene just committed to memory, let alone be able to perform in it. But Tom is so gracious as a fellow actor. We really were able to work it out and spent a lot of time on it. It was well worth it.
I'm very excited to see the evolution of that friendship, so to speak. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Hi.
So you've had a varied career. There's so many genres that you've worked with. Taboo is brilliantly dark and decidedly taboo in many aspects. Do you lean more towards the darker genres? Do you have a favorite genre that you like to work and write with?
I try where possible not to even think that you're writing something that's in a genre, because the way I see it, when you live your life, you go through 6 different genres every hour. It's comedy, it's tragedy, it's farce, it's all those things. So I try to avoid the idea that because it's a particular genre, it has to be like this. But no, I mean, I think honesty is the thing, where if you're dealing with London in 1814, tell it like it was, and really show it, because the way that it was is more interesting than the sort of more formalised version of history that we normally see.
There's so much that's involved in each scene, not even just the spoken word, but like when the butcher's chopping some really bloody meat, or people throwing out their chamber pots and things like that. All those things make up the series itself, but they're also kind of pseudo characters of their own, because they influence the way that the people live in that genre. Where are the locations that you were filming at? Did they have?
It was mostly London, and because CGI is so good now, you can shoot in London and make it look like London in 1814. So, but the river is a character. The Thames is a character in it. So a lot of it was shot on the Thames, and hopefully you sort of feel it and smell it and really feel the mud and the blood and all of the stuff that's going on.
Yes, it's brilliant. I absolutely love the 3 screeners that were available to us, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Right.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Chit chat. So obviously I've loved you in Born Identity. I love the Marie character. I was very sad when she died. And I've seen the first 3 episodes of Taboo.
You've seen more than me.
I love Helga. I love her spirit. Even though she may have a questionable line of work, she's doing the best she can. And there's a unique acquaintanceship that you have with Tom Hardy's character, James. What can you tell us about the script when you read it that drew you to this particular character, or was it chosen for you?
I auditioned for it. I actually played a very, very, very similar character, an 1800s pimp, in a series called Copper for the BBC before. So I was like, Jesus, really? I was like, I guess that's just my thing. I was just having my second baby. I'm like, it's crazy. I'm like, really? I'm the pimp again? Okay. But these ambivalent characters are, for us actors, always like the most interesting. And especially if you have you have 2 cute little girls at home, you're totally like changing diapers and breastfeeding, and then you get to be like, have a gold tooth and be like, So I like that. That's fun. It's like a weird little vacation from what else is going on in your life. So it was fun.
Okay, what can you tell us about the audition process? What was the audition?
I self-taped. I was very busy with kids. I think that day I looked terrible. I put on a green kimono that I wore for the audition when I got the part as the other pimp. I was like, you know what, maybe it works again. And I remember the kids were crying, and I said to my husband, who was kind enough to read me, it's like, we're doing 2 takes, that's it. I was really on edge. I was like, I don't have time for this. And we did it and sent it off, and sometimes those things that are happening under pressure, when you're just like, you have this extra edge, just kind of worked out, I guess.
Well, you play Helga so brilliantly. I just love the way that you have this kind of like chip on your shoulder, but you're also kind of vulnerable as well. So I really love the way that you have portrayed her, because
Thank you.
There's not very many ways you can play a pimp, as you say, but you play it with very, very good aplomb.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I very much enjoyed it.
Have a nice night.
Thank you. Able to see the first 3 episodes, which I believe you directed. And I love the direction, the way that the camera pans in certain areas, and the way that you emphasize non-characters like a butcher chopping bloody, meat parts and things like that. What is it that drew you to this project?
I think what you just expressed is that there's something very raw and primitive in some ways in that story, written by Steve Knight. on the request of and the participation of Tom Hardy and his father Chips Hardy, and I think this idea about not putting things aside but showing things in a very direct way felt very liberating. You know, we have a main character which we in some moments love, in other moments we really feel, wow, that was not nice. You know, that's where he's you would say he's a badass, but he's also a man seeking the truth. So there was something very unpolished in the script, and hopefully that came through in the film as well.
Yes, I love the small nuances, you know, the cut to certain things, you know, the way he dug the hole to bury his treasure, the way he was standing on the boat when he came back to London, all those different things, those make up a series. It doesn't matter just about the characters and the writing as well, it does, but there's also the nuances of the other outside that influence the character itself. So I really love the direction.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes, I really much enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I'm looking forward to seeing. Yes, I'm looking forward to the rest of it.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
But we're not in a corner.
Oh.
Get this woman a corner.
It's so lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. What's your name?
My name is Judy.
Hi, Judy.
So one of the films that I saw that I absolutely loved was The Longest Ride because of Ira and Ruth's story.
Yes.
I loved it, and I loved the way that your character was portrayed. It was just brilliant. Because of course I missed you when you were killed at the Red Wedding.
I miss me too.
So I've seen the first 3 episodes. Your character and Tom's character have a past.
Yeah. You can say that.
So I won't spoil it, but what can you tell us about when you read the script and reading this character? What were your first thoughts?
I was instantly drawn to a person that is so conflicted about wanting something. Like that was like the tastiest thing, because that you know that friction is just so you can do it so many ways. You know, you can do it like in pain or in anguish, but there's something that's really delicious about it, about that yearning for something that you're prohibiting yourself, really, or that society is prohibiting you about, you know, having all of those feelings, and you can't do anything. Awesome.
Well, in the first episode, when you're at your father's funeral, you see James walking through, and it's like a shock to you, and your expression is priceless, because you're like, you see a ghost. You thought he was dead, and he comes back. What can you tell us about filming some of the scenes with Tom, and you know, you having to suppress those feelings?
Tom is a master. He is an absolute master, and it was like going back to drama school, working with him. He has 10,000 ideas a minute, and they're all good, and he shares them with you. He has them about everything that's going on, like, and he's very generous with like the way that and it's play, and it was playful and dangerous and spontaneous, and like, I mean, and you know, I mean, he's also really like a nice and generous guy, and like that's awesome to work with, but in any kind of instance.
But he's not supposed to be nice and generous as his character. His character's very mysterious and dark and brooding.
But that's the suppression, where you're like, I have to be sort of distant with you, but I just want to go.
Well, I've enjoyed the first 3 episodes, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.